Maybe you remember the Phantom Menace for this.
Midi-chlorians are...
But among the movie's many virtues is its contribution to a key yet often forgotten word: world building. With amazingly new planets, characters, sounds, vehicles, and ships. In this latter area, standing out amid the designs that shaped our childhood memories is a formidable challenge. But the prequels came out and Lucas did it again. And not only with one of the most stylish spacecraft of the saga, but with one that also functions story-wise. That immediately tells us about its people, and that evokes us of a time
before the dark times, before the Empire.
George Lucas based the beautiful design of Naboo on natural forms, such as the curves of plants and flowers. But it took them a while to establish that for the Naboo ships. The first model to be explored was the iconic Royal Starship, the father of the N-1, which originally was going to be a yacht powered by a solar sail. However, George Lucas wanted to create something new by going back 30 years, in order to explain why designs in the original trilogy look the way they do. While the designs of the spaceships of this trilogy were more in the 1970s, when everything was mass-produced, the prequels went back to the 1920s, a more romantic time with a handcrafted look. So that yacht-like design was discarded, but later repurposed for Episode 2 as Dooku's solar sailor.
Your solar sailor is very beautiful. It's a pretty rare ship. Very expensive.
With Lucas changing his mind, design director Doug Chiang drew inspiration from 1950s-style automobile hood ornaments and the Blackbird reconnaissance jet to create the earliest elegant chrome version of the Royal Starship. And he continued working on that idea till he came up with the finished design. At one point, the ship was to be armed, and Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan were to use the turrets to fight off the Lucre Hulk. But these were eliminated after Lucas decided to make the Queen's vessel a ship of peace, instead focusing on powerful shields and speed. It was given the name
For a J-type 327 Nubian?
327 being the number of the Death Star and the Cloud City landing platforms.
Clear Bay 327. We're opening the magnetic field. Permission granted to land on platform 327.
Some of you may have noticed the name Utapau in some conceptual designs. Before being the subterranean planet from Revenge of the Sith, it was the name given to Naboo in the revised rough draft of Episode 1. Its appearance goes back to May 1974, where the rough draft of Star Wars opens on the fourth moon of Utapau, later Tatooine, and where we see the first hint of the Chrome Royal Starship. At the start of the N-1 design phase, Doug Chiang believed the ship would have an angular shape, just as the designs of the original trilogy, so the first concepts followed that same pattern. As the style of Naboo began to develop, more rounded looks evolved, as well as a flying wing style. At one point, Lucas toyed with the idea of a ship with long glider-type wings, similar to the Jedi T6 shuttle, with a big vertical fin when flying, which would turn horizontal when it landed. Eventually, Lucas and Chiang decided the Starfighter should be a smaller fighter craft model of the Queen's ship. He then mixed that idea with the Cadillac Cyclone and the F-1 boats, a favorite of George Lucas, by turning their two pontoons into jet engines and adding a long spike to give the ship a fish-like Naboo quality. The final version began to take shape, and after some more experiments, the design resulting from that combination nearly concluded with this sketch. Chiang just removed the rocket launcher, and finally, after a creative process that took over 300 drawings, the N-1 was born. However, he wasn't sure that the Starfighter would make it into the movie because it had a very risky non-Star Wars design at that time. But Lucas loved the all-chrome ship, and even wanted to go further by giving it a bold color. The result was a perfect versatile ship, a perfect marriage between an A-wing and an X-wing. Fast and agile like an A, more durable like an X. An elegant starfighter.
For the more civilized age.
Despite the N-1 being created for the Phantom Menace, it made its first appearance in the video game Star Wars Rogue Squadron, released 6 months before the film. Most of the N-1 scenes take place during the climactic battle of the
Invasion
of Naboo, in which the Starfighter was a combination of CGI and practical effects. As he finds himself within an N-1, Anakin has his first moment of heroism after he destroys the droid control ship from the inside. But in the revised rough draft dated June 1996, Padme invites Anakin and R2 to join her in a two-person Starfighter. Lucas later decided Anakin should be alone to make it rhyme with Luke's trench run's decisive moment.
That with Anakin, kind of duplicating the Luke Skywalker role, but you see the echo of where it all is going to go. It's like poetry, so if they rhyme.
With its bold minimalist design, the Starfighter has made an impact in several Star Wars stories. For example, in the 2017 video game Star Wars Battlefront 2. In this game, apart from being a playable vehicle in Theed, it's also part of the campaign in what's known as Operation Cinder, the fallen Emperor's plan to punish the Galactic Empire for failing to prevent his death. During this mission, Leia Organa flew one long-abandoned N-1 into space to save Naboo, her mother's homeworld.
The circle is now complete.
22 years after its first appearance in live action, Favreau went back to the prequels to replace Mando's Razor Crest, with the N-1 making a surprise, triumphant return in Chapter 5 of the Book of Boba Fett. Alongside mechanic Peli Motto, Din Djarin modified the vintage N-1 and added a new paint job that made it look like his armor. The idea of building a customized version of a vehicle in a garage with a mechanic was directly inspired by George Lucas's film American Graffiti. Favreau even pays homage to the Phantom Menace by going back to the Beggar's Canyon, where the legendary pod race took place. A comeback that would never have been possible without Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni's utter respect and love for Star Wars. That is, for George Lucas.